In today's video, I'm going to show you an update of our farm. We've been quite busy and the farm is thriving. We've been doing a lot of activities on the farm, either to do with the plants or the animals. There are a lot of things we've improved. We're harvesting new crops on the farm. And today's video will be showing you all this and everything we've been up to in the last few weeks.
Yeah, so right here we have one of our patches of arrowroots. You can see we have arrowroots at different stages. Some are bigger, some are quite small. So we'll harvest them at different stages. So we have about, on this area of the farm, we have about 3 patches. And then we have others from the other farm, the bigger farm, where we have the fodder for the goats. So we do have this one. There's another patch that has bigger arrowroots, and that's the patch that we are going to harvest next. This actually, for those who are new on the channel, is the first place we planted arrowroots at Taraji Eco Farm. It's the very first spot that we planted arrowroots, and it actually showed us that we can actually plant arrowroots and we don't have to be near a water source. We depend, at the moment, since we've not done piping from our well, we entirely depend on rainwater. And you can see they've been doing well. I think this should be the 3rd or the 2nd year. I think it should be the 2nd year that we will be harvesting arrowroots from the farm. So I'm not sure there are different varieties, maybe some that do well near water sources or something, but for us at least this one does very well on normal land where we grow our collard greens, our onions, same land. Yeah, and nothing, we don't treat them any differently, like watering them, we don't treat them any differently than the other crops on the farm. So this right here is the biggest sweet banana plant that we have, and you can see it's already started giving suckers. So this is what we planted. This is a sucker from this plant. We haven't harvested any sweet bananas from the farm, but we are looking forward to harvesting them from this plant. We do have other sweet banana plants on the other farm. I think they are smaller than this, probably at this height. There are 2 of them at this height. And obviously they'll also produce suckers around them. Actually, one thing to say, most some of the most exciting crops that we grow are the ones that produce suckers, because it means you'll always have produce this crop for as long as you keep feeding it. You keep feeding with compost, manure, you'll always be harvesting bananas. Same to the arrowroots that we just came from. As long as you keep feeding the soil, since they always produce others next to them, multiples actually. We even have to transplant some of them because they cannot fit in that area. It means we'll always get arrowroots from the farm as well. Now, here we have mint, and it's quite a lot, and it's gaining momentum, I can see. So we are planning on drying some of the mint to use in our house. If we start harvesting in excess, then we can also sell it to some of you. But what we'll be doing is, because we can't consume it, all of it fresh, then we'll have to be drying some of it. So that's the plan for this area. It's purely mint, purely mint. We'll also try and avoid the mint from invading other parts of the farm. Don't know how we'll do that, but we'll try and manage that because it's a very invasive plant and we didn't want to plant it in containers. If you have a small piece of land, then I would advise that you plant this in containers and not on the ground, because the roots are quite invasive and you'll find them all over the farm. So yeah, that's it about the mint. Let's go to the next crop. Yeah, so one of the crops that we've been harvesting a lot of, at least for the last, say, 1.5 months or so, is strawberries. And mostly from this bed, we've been harvesting a lot of strawberries. And you can see we still have a lot more. We still have a lot more strawberries that will be ready for harvest. We have several crops on this bed, several crops. And I just want to show you how easy it is to propagate strawberries. So let's go to a bed that has some new strawberries that we've planted, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to propagate strawberries. Yeah, if you watched one of our most recent videos, I showed you this strawberry that we planted on a new bed, and I showed you one of the one of the plants that has had one runner, and this was it. And I had told you that within a couple of days it was going to get roots and attach itself here. So if we can focus right here, yeah. So initially we had just this and this one, uh, and then this is what I told you would get roots, and you can see it's attached to this crop. So I'm just going to snip that, and now it's an independent plant. But I just want to show you how easy it is to grow strawberries. You can see this is another runner. It's going to produce roots and attach itself somewhere. This is another one. It's going, you can see it's already started producing some tiny roots. It's also going to attach itself somewhere. This is another one. And they're all coming from one plant. We have another one right here. So you have about 5. We're going to get about, very soon, about 5 new plants from this particular crop. And some of these will not actually have them on the bed. We'll just, when they develop the roots, we'll just cut them and plant them elsewhere on the farm. That's how easy it is to propagate strawberries on your farm. All right. So on the same bed where I've showed you the new strawberries, we have the carrot patch that we've been harvesting from. These are the carrots we've been harvesting from. We do have other, I think, 2 beds with carrots, and we're going to plant probably a new bed since the rains are here with us. So we do have other 2 beds with carrots at different stages. Actually, and they are these are very small patch. So the others are quite big, and I'm just going to show you that shortly. Yes, so I just showed you the patch of carrots that we are harvesting from. This will be the next carrots that we'll be harvesting from after we are done with those ones. Then we do have another bed with smaller carrots, probably like around 3/4 of these carrots here. Yeah. So as we keep saying on our channel, one of the ways we ensure that we have something to harvest every other time on the farm is to make sure that we are continuously planting. And for example, we would plant carrots today, and then others in 2 weeks, others probably in 3 weeks, like that, just staggering the planting so that you always have something to harvest from the farm. Yeah, so on this bed is where we had the 2 different varieties of amaranth. We had a big plant here and a very big plant there, and we actually uprooted them because we think that served us enough. Plus, we want to repurpose this bed. You can see we are clearing it up a bit. Even these remaining amaranth plants, we'll actually get rid of them. So on this side, we planted some small leeks. So these are leeks. This is what a big leek looks like. This is a leek. So we do have some tiny ones that are growing right there. So hopefully we get them even bigger than this one that we have here. I've seen some very, very big leeks. So we'll attempt to grow such. So these are the leeks that we currently have. And then on this side, most likely, we are going to plant groundnuts, most likely. But we'll let you know how that goes. So the amaranth, currently, we are planting it outside the bed. We don't want it to be inside the bed. So on this area we had groundnuts that we harvested recently, and we planted popcorn. Again, second time trialing popcorn on the farm. Remember the first time we planted when they were almost producing the corn, we had the invasion by our neighbor's cow, so we didn't get to harvest them. Hopefully this time round we'll harvest our very first popcorn from our farm. Let's see how they do.
So about 3 months ago, we decided to try and grow Lucerne as one of the fodders for our goats. However, we didn't know, and we came to find out later that our soil here is quite acidic. So we are supposed to have added some lime into the soil a couple of weeks before we planted. And that's why you can see the struggle here with the Lucerne. You can see at the edges, the Lucerne is about maybe 1 foot tall. But the rest of the farm, you can see how short it is. And this is about 3 months later. We just weeded like 2 weeks ago, and the weeds have already grown. However, I don't think it's the issue with the weeds. I believe it has to do with the acidity of the soil, which is a major problem in our area over here. Especially for the last few years, even the guys who plant maize, they harvest very little. In fact, beans, people rarely get anything more than maybe 10 kgs or so. So I think that's a big issue with this. However, we tried, we made slurry from cow dung mixed with water, and we tried to put it in between the rows of the lucerne to see whether it's going to improve the fertility, or even just reduce the acidity of the soil here. We were just trying, but I think this crop has failed. For lucerne has actually failed. So now what can we do? Since we already have I don't know what these are called. I think we're just going to weed this area and put sweet potato vines over here so that we can harvest sweet potatoes for ourselves and also use the vines to feed the goats. And that's the best way to actually reclaim this area for this moment. We will try planting another different fodder for the goats. We already have Nepia grass, both the improved pak chong and also the traditional one. So we need another one. We are thinking of desmodium, which we're going to add and put in between the rows of Nepia grass. I have a feeling since the Nepia grass does well, desmodium will probably do better. We'll try that the next season. So for now, for lucerne, uh, this one has really failed. However, there's another way, of course, we are supplementing our goats' diet.
Yeah, right. So next to the plot there we have lucerne, we have our maize and beans. So luckily this season, you can see we do have quite some beans. Last season we didn't get to harvest any beans because they dried during the February month that was very hot. But this time around we're going to harvest quite some beans. So what we did differently this season is that we only have one plot with maize and beans. The rest of the plots have other things. We do have some channels with things like arrowroots and cassava. And then most of the land on this part is being used for goat feeds.
So remember, we like planting varieties. So and cassava is one of the crops that we really want to harvest on this farm. We've had this crop here now. I think when it gets to December, this year is going to be about 2 years old. We tried harvesting another row that was up there after 1.5 years, but it was not ready. And we got a lot of feedback from most of you, our subscribers, that we should give it more time. That's why we've left this one over here, and we'll give it actually ample time until it's properly ready. We are initially thought cassava gets ready in about 12 months, but seems different varieties, different soils affect it a lot. So for this one, we're just patient. Until the day that we see it's ready, then we're going to harvest. However, we are looking forward to actually harvest cassava on the farm. Yeah. So remember, we told you this season we focus more on growing fodder for our goats, and then just a little bit of just a small plot where we put maize and beans for our own consumption. This is one of the areas that we actually used to have maize and beans before, but we chose to have fodder for our crop, which is Nepia grass. This is a super pak chong. It's not doing as well as it's supposed to be, but this is the first time it's coming up. The first time we're actually planting it here, and you can see some of the plants have a lot of them. Like this one has a lot, this one has fewer, and we believe that once we have the first crop from here, then we put in some fertilizer, which is cow dung mixed with water, which is called what, sludge or slurry. It's going to give us a lot of Napier grass next time, because this one grows every 3 weeks or so. When the rains are properly, when we have proper rains, it grows every 3 weeks. We keep on harvesting. So this is the first time it's growing over at this place, and we're actually impressed with it. I'm actually happy because we have another the traditional Napier grass on the farm that does very well, and we're going to show you that it's actually on the upper section. It does very well. In one place like this, you'll find maybe 50 or more plants or shoots coming up. So we hope that this one, once we harvest the first time and then we put in some more cow dung, slurry or sludge, it's going to give us more. The thing is, we don't want to use any commercial fertilizers on the farm. We actually don't use any commercial fertilizers on our farm. So we have to rely on our own either organic compost or animal droppings to actually fertilize the land. One of the biggest costs in rearing of animals is actually feeds. And so at our farm here, we try to reduce that as much as possible by growing our own fodder, which we are slowly doing. And I think we have sufficient Napier grass now to actually last our goats a couple of months, because goats don't eat as much as cows. So we're really lacking that. And also mix, because you have to buy other things like hay and also other supplements that you're going to show you when you get to the goat section up there. So yeah, this area will be about what? I don't know exact size, but it's not small. It's quite big, and we actually keep increasing the acreage where we plant fodder for the goats. So yeah, but I'm going to show you the next section where we have the super pakchong that we recently cut like 2 weeks ago, and then I'll show you it's called the traditional. I think the traditional Nepia grass that does very well over here. Here we are at our super pakchong. This one we cut it like 2 weeks ago. You can see it's already coming out, and I'm not sure how well super pakchong does in our soils, because if you still compare this part where super pakchong is and the upper part where we have our traditional Nepia grass, there's a huge difference in terms of how much you harvest per plant like this, how much you harvest. There's a very big difference. The traditional one gives us a lot of Nepia grass, a lot of it, as opposed to the super pakchong. However, again, we've used goat manure over here, and this time it gave us a bit more than previously we used to get from here. So I just think it's a matter of soil fertility, and as we keep on adding compost and manure and cow slurry or sludge into the soil, I think we're improving it. For now, we're not getting rid of our traditional Nepia grass until we've actually made sure that the soil here is fertile enough and we can harvest as much as we can from the super pakchong, and then we'll slowly transition to having 100% super pakchong as Nepia grass on this farm. So for now, we're keeping our traditional Nepia. So now, compare our traditional Nepia grass. This would be like a meter, 1.5 meters tall. It's actually due for harvesting. Compare this with what I've just shown you in terms of the super pakchong. You see, from this just one place, I think we have close to 100 shoots coming out. There's a lot. So I believe this traditional Nepia grass is more adapted to our soil here than the super pakchong. That's why we are not getting rid of this. This actually helps us a lot. And also I believe that the research you've done online is that when you harvest them at this stage, whereby it's a meter to 1.5 meters tall, there's still a lot of protein in the Nepia grass. So you're keeping this traditional Nepia grass. As much as people tell us to move to the improved super pakchong, we are not ready to do that, because we need a lot of fodder for our goats, and the only fodder that is doing very well for now is the traditional Nepia grass. This is the same area we're going to actually put desmodium in between the rows of Nepia grass, so that we increase the amount of fodder we have, and also the nutrition for our crops. So for now, we're really happy with our traditional Nepia grass. And the thing is, actually, this traditional Nepia grass, once you harvest, and 3 weeks from now, you're going to harvest again. So and you've seen how we planned it. There's a part where we've already harvested, it's still growing. Then you go to the next part that has Nepia grass, then cut, and then grow, so that every week we have Nepia grass from the farm to supplement the goats' feed when we give them boma rods. Yeah, so as a farmer, it's important to have fodder for your crops planted in different stages, so that throughout the year or throughout the season, you have somewhere to cut to harvest fodder for your goats. Thing is, and our goats usually feed on boma rods, which is dry hay, but then you have to supplement that with either dairy meal or maize jam, and also Nepia grass. So we'll mix up in a day. They'll eat a bit of Nepia grass, then a bit of because we still don't have the chopper to chop and mix up. So we'll give them maybe the dry hay in the morning. Then in the afternoon, we give them a bit of Nepia grass, and then in between or in the evening, we'll give them some dairy meal mixed with maize jam and a bit of mineral salt, to actually make sure by the end of the day, they already have a balanced diet. They have all the nutrients that they need.
Yeah, so this right here are our goats. Currently, we have 20 goats. Most are in this house, and then we do have others in the other house, one of them being a kid. And you can see how healthy our goats look, because we've been giving them the things that we've mentioned in this video. We've been giving them boma rolls, we've been giving them Nepia grass. We've also been supplementing their diet with dairy meal and maize germ, and also some salt, because most of them are actually pregnant. So just to give them a bit of muscle and to fatten them a little bit so that they're able to hold their pregnancies well. So we are quite happy. These are the goats that grow the fodder for that you've seen in the other part of the farm. And that really helps us to actually cut on our operating costs, because growing our own Nepia is actually cheaper than actually having to buy Nepia every time that we need it. And even as we try more fodder crops, it will even make it more easier for us to manage our goats. So we hope that you enjoyed today's video. We like taking you along on the development of the farm, even as we learn more from you, our followers. We love interacting with you in the comment section. So we hope that you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to share with your friends. It's the best self-sufficiency channel that you'll ever come across. We share as much information as we can, and we hope that you actually enjoy it. We'll see you in our next video.